Did you know that in just 20 months, one company lost $480 billion? Not a startup, not a crypto scam. The most valuable company in all of Europe. A 100-year-old Danish business that makes a tiny injection you've definitely heard of. Ozempic. This company was worth more than the entire economy of the country it lives in. And then it started falling faster than almost any giant in European history. So what happened? How does a company this safe, this successful, lose almost everything in under 2 years? To understand the fall, you first have to understand just how high they climbed. Novo Nordisk isn't new. It's been around for 100 years, quietly making one thing better than almost anyone on Earth: insulin. Diabetes medicine. For most of its life, Novo was the definition of a safe, boring stock. It grew slowly, steadily, a few percent a year. And as diabetes and obesity became two of the biggest health problems on the planet, Novo sat in the perfect spot. They had spent a century mastering exactly the science the whole world was about to need. They just didn't know yet that their next diabetes drug was about to turn them into something completely different. Novo built a diabetes drug called semaglutide, sold as Ozempic. But doctors noticed something they weren't looking for: patients were losing serious amounts of weight. That wasn't the plan. It was a side effect. But it was the most valuable side effect in modern medicine. Because Novo took that discovery, put it in a slightly different package, and called it Wegovy, a weight loss drug. And the timing could not have been more perfect. This hit America like a bomb. Celebrities were whispering about it. Then not whispering. It exploded across social media, talk shows, red carpets. Everyone suddenly wanted this one injection. Demand went vertical. Novo wasn't selling a diabetes drug anymore. They were selling the most wanted product in the world. And the safe, boring stock your grandmother owned? It went off like a rocket. The numbers stopped making sense. Novo Nordisk climbed until it became the single most valuable company in all of Europe, worth more than luxury giant LVMH, worth more than any other name on the continent. At its peak in mid-2024, Novo was worth around $640 billion. To put that in perspective, this one company became worth more than the entire economy of Denmark. The country that hosts it. A single business in Bagsværd, bigger than the nation around it. And Denmark felt it everywhere. Novo became the engine of the whole Danish economy, driving exports, growth, even lifting the national stock index almost single-handedly. When one company gets that big, an entire country starts leaning on it. Danish pensions, Danish savings, Danish growth, all quietly tied to the fate of one injection. That kind of success feels amazing on the way up. It's terrifying on the way down. And the way down was about to begin. Here's where Novo made the mistake that cracked everything open. Demand for Wegovy was so massive that Novo simply couldn't make enough of it. Shortages everywhere. Patients couldn't get their injections. And when you leave a gold mine sitting wide open, someone else walks in and starts digging. That someone was Eli Lilly, the American competitor who showed up late, let Novo do all the hard work building the market. Lilly launched their own weight loss drug, Zepbound. And to make it worse for the Danes, in a head-to-head trial Zepbound looked stronger. Patients lost around 50 pounds versus about 33 on Novo's Wegovy. Better results, plenty of supply, perfect timing, off someone else's breakthrough. Doctors and patients started switching. And the market noticed fast. Over this stretch, Eli Lilly's stock rose about 400%. Novo's did the opposite. The company that invented the market was now losing it to the company that just showed up for the payday. Once the cracks appeared, everything hit at once. The prices came crashing down. A pricing deal in the US cut Wegovy from around $900 a month to just $349. Then the patent started expiring in big markets: Canada, Brazil, China, opening the door to an army of cheap copycats. India alone flooded in with dozens of generic versions. And Novo was dangerously exposed, because just two drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy, made up around 67% of everything the company earned. When your entire empire rests on two products, and both get attacked at once. There's nowhere to hide. Then came the knockout. Novo's big next-generation hope, a drug called CagriSema, failed to beat Eli Lilly's drug in a key trial. In a single day, the stock dropped 16%. Novo guided for its first real sales decline in modern history. Add it all up, and from its peak the company lost roughly $480 billion, falling behind 10 other European companies it once towered over. One of the fastest collapses of a giant Europe has ever seen. Novo isn't dead, not even close. There's a new CEO, Mike Dowstar, brought in to steady the ship, a pipeline of new drugs, and a pill version of Wegovy that could reset the game. A 100-year-old company doesn't vanish overnight, but the lesson is already written. $480 billion can disappear in 20 months. The safe stock, the boring giant, the company bigger than its own country. None of it made Novo untouchable. Because in business, the higher you climb, the harder the ground hits when you fall.